I'm on the Ecological Imperative, which is not a surprise, and I would agree with John a lot and with Art, and it is, I actually don't know, the climate change is the driver at the moment, and if you look at the weekend papers, which I just looked at, although I don't agree with Margaret Wendy, I don't agree with some other people, but climate change is all over the place. And we had a discussion over dinner, and John was saying, well, maybe it's too much, and maybe it'll just be a flash in the pan. And Art and I were saying, no, let's get it into the press, let's get it out to the public. It's so important. I grew up in my activist career is that the protection of the environment was always seen as an impediment to progress and to development and to the extraction of resources, and we were just a problem. And they wished we would go away, they wished the Ministry of Environment would go away, and the Ministry of Environment in BC, which is where I've worked, or with Environment Canada, they never had any real say in decision making. So that, from my point of view, really needs to change, and there needs to be a real integration of environmental thinking, ecological thinking in decision making. They can't just be the tailpipe. They can't be just the add-on at the end, which is usually what I've seen. And so that's institutional change as well. But I think we need to go there. I had an issue about the political imperative, and I wondered why it wasn't here. And I figure if we change the way we make decisions, we'll change the way decisions are made. And we really need to get there. And we need for reform, we need proportional representation and a much more representative democracy, which really includes the public. The public has to have a say, and we have to be engaged. We especially have to have the younger citizens engaged and be educated, an educated citizenry who knows what's going on and will speak out and demand that change. And that's why we need a responsible and responsive media. They are so important. I've seen them become much less responsive. They suddenly are jumped on the environment bandwagon again. Let's hope they stay on it, John. And I think it's extremely important that we are there, because that is a way of educating the public. The ones who do read newspapers or read independent press, it's extremely important to know what's going on. And they haven't always, in more recent times, been very helpful when they have given equal space to what I call the denial industry, the so-called pseudoscientists who are funded by the oil and gas and the coal industry. And people think that there's a debate over climate change. There isn't a debate. It's how much, how fast, and when it's going to happen. We have to take action now. I'm all for action. You know, this talk of, as John said and Art has said, the studies are there. We know what has to be done. We've got to move our so-called leaders, our political leaders on all levels. That means not just federally, provincially. It means municipal leaders as well. And I think we live in an area right here, for those of you who might be local, Langford, Colwood are about the worst examples of urban and rural sprawl that you could ever see. They have no control over what's happening, not even thinking of transportation, not even thinking what the impact is of the kind of development is going to be on the edge of Victoria. I think we also have to look at Canada's role in the world scene. We have a responsibility as a developed nation. We have ideas, we have technology, we have to share it, but we also have to clean up our own shop. We've got to show ourselves as good citizens, and we aren't there yet. We're a long way from being there. And it's up to all of us. Again, I'm not on the shame and blame either. But we can make a difference. We as individuals, and it is up to us, because governments never lead. The people have to lead for the governments to follow. You know, we all know that, and it does make a difference. And the same for industry. And some of the results that we've had more recently, say the Great Bear Rainforest or something, I was there in the very beginning, and we didn't get anywhere with government. We were working with the industry leaders. And why were we working with the forest companies? Because Greenpeace and others had a markets campaign, and they were threatening their markets. And so they actually sat down at the table because they had to. And hopefully we don't always have to go to that kind of extent, but that's what it took in that instance. And now we're looking at not just protected areas, we're looking at the whole landscape, because protected areas are just islands of extinction if you don't look at the whole landscape and exploit everything on the outside. And that goes for our oceans as well. They look at marine protected areas and they think fish don't move, and you're looking at the whole area. And we've got huge problems there. I would also say we've got to address the gap between the rich and the poor, and we'll hear from Ken in a moment. And we can't leave out parts of our society. We have to be working as a whole, and we've got to look at that. And that's important. And as we're in an institution here, an educational institution, the role of education is extremely important to turn out people who think, who actually question, who move things forward. And I think there's an increasing role for scientists. I get very tired of scientists who won't speak out, who won't, academics who live in their ivory towers, and we have to get them out on the street. They have to be talking to the public. They have to be involved in the broader society. It's very, very important. And of course, local land use planning, those of us who can be involved should be involved. So there are many ways that we can contribute to the sustainable future, and I always hate sustainable development. It's developing sustainability. We never had the right way around with the Brundtland Commission. Let's put it right. And now it's the ecological imperative has to be the guiding force. That's what's important. Thank you.